Hello, hello. Welcome. Let's get into it. JD Vance went on Joe Rogan. See what we got.
Do you think that Israel is affecting American political judgment?
I mean,
I wonder if Joe chose the time to ask him that question when he was pouring water. That is a heavy question while somebody's pouring themselves some water.
Do you think that Israel is affecting American political judgment?
I mean,
Oh man, JD Vance is like a very good politician. I mean, he analyzed that situation and he's not great at recovering quickly, but he's not bad.
but if people want to say we mishandled the Epstein release, guilty. We did mishandle, especially the communications of it.
What do you think should have been done?
I think that we should have just dropped everything at the very beginning. And obviously it takes a little time to review the stuff, to find the stuff, to redact things where you have victims and so forth. But we should have just done it as quickly as possible.
But some of the stuff that was redacted, some of the names that were redacted weren't victims.
So, yeah, I've looked into this, and
My boss is on there a lot.
understanding of this, having looked at a lot of this, but not all of it, is that it is sometimes hard to draw a distinction between victim and co-conspirator. And let me highlight this in a very sort of obvious way. ROGAN, who's been one of the loudest voices on the Epstein file. Well, he became very loud on the Epstein files the minute Donald Trump became president, didn't seem to care about it during the Biden administration. He actually brought one of the Epstein victims, I think, to the State of the Union last year, or maybe it was the year before last. Well, that victim, and I'm not saying she wasn't a victim. I don't know anything about her particular case. She was also listed as a co-conspirator in some of these documents, right? So there's an idea that some of the people...
Okay, but if I really wanted to jumble everything up and make it able for us to redact things, I would probably do something like this on purpose. I would do exactly what he just explained.
files the minute Donald Trump became president, didn't seem to care about it during the Biden administration.
They didn't care about it during the Biden administration because they were sealed still.
He actually brought one of the Epstein victims, I think, to the State of the Union last year, or maybe it was the year before last. Well, that victim, and I'm not saying she wasn't a victim. I don't know anything about her particular case. She was also listed as a co-conspirator in some of these documents, right? So there's an idea that some of the people who were engaged in the sex trafficking were also, facilitating it as well.
So they were incentivized to get more girls.
Yeah, but yes, that's right. But the idea is that it's hard to sort of, it's sometimes a little bit of a gray area between, some of the people who were alleged victims were also alleged co-conspirators. And so what DOJ tried.
Are they trying to... Okay, so if a victim can be a co-conspirator, like you're talking about Batman and Joker, the co-conspirators would be the ones that harmed the victims, right? So if a victim can be called a co-conspirator, can a co-conspirator be called a victim? Are they trying to finagle this so that the co-conspirators, aka possibly the president, he could just be a victim in all this? Maybe, I don't know. The way that they spin these things, you got to keep your head on a swivel.
Well, most people think he was Mossad.
Yeah, Mossad or CIA or some other deep state, whether in America or Israel or another country, or both. Look, he clearly had connections to the highest levels of American intelligence. He clearly had connections to the highest levels of Israeli intelligence.
Wow.
Well, most people think he was Mossad.
That's pretty refreshing to hear coming from the vice president. It just makes me wonder, like, what have they told JD Vance that he's allowed to say? That's all this is Joe's going to ask questions and JD Vance is going to give the answers that he's already been given, or a version that he has recited, but it's only going to be what he is ultimately allowed to say. But that's pretty wild to admit that Jeffrey Epstein worked for the Mossad. Like, cool. Can we talk about 9/11 now?
Pam Bondi said, the client list is on my desk, right?
Well, see,
This one's quiet.
It's
Not
awful.
good.
It's
Yeah.
not good, right? And so, like, if the Iranian people want to rise up and change their government, that's up to them. But we're not going to send 150,000 ground troops in order to accomplish a change in a regime unless the people on the ground themselves want to accomplish that outcome. Now, we're not going to send the troops in regardless, but, like, to propose sending in the troops, you're basically saying that the U.S. military should do the job for the Iranian people. We're not in that business anymore. We're just not.
That's not how your current boss feels. Like, is there really a difference between having ground troops and having airplanes fly over and drop bombs on them? Like, what? Dude, you're still killing people. I don't want, like, so if we send in ground troops, then all of a sudden it's a bigger deal than it is. Like, okay, yeah, it would be a bigger deal, but it's still a big deal that we are over there and have aircraft carriers launching drones and missiles into another country. It's crazy.
And in some ways, Joe, the game is rigged.
Yes.
Yes. If you look at, again, I think so much of housing because, this happened. I think it was during the presidential campaign. Maybe it was right before. But I was talking to some family members over Thanksgiving, and just a sort of a younger friend of my wife's. They were like 5 or 6 years behind us. They were just about to get married. And this young woman, successful engineer, makes a higher salary than most Americans. She just sort of like tossed out there that, when her parents' generation was coming up, it was like possible to own a house and to raise a family and not be worried that much about things. And my thought was, okay, you're an engineer. You make way more money than 75% of people your age, maybe 90% of people your age. And you think that it is like this ridiculous, unachievable objective to have literally what your parents had, which is a decent job, a nice house, and a safe place. Like at that same dinner, like another friend of my wife's was talking about this. And he, South Indian family, grew up, his parents immigrated. He was born and raised in San Diego. And he was like, when I was growing up in Oceanside, this is like...
I don't, like, if you know JD Vance's true history and who he ultimately, like, owes his upbringing to, I don't believe that they would have friends that are complaining about owning houses. I'm just not here for
with limitations. Like when the Iranians hit ships, the president has been willing to knock the hell out of the Iranians in response. This is not just a negotiation. It's negotiation, it's military, it's all these things. But I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there have been people within the Israeli government who are trying to, like, actually shift us away from that policy because they want to continue the military campaign. And by the way, like, there are people within their government that I love, I have good relationships with. I hope, and I don't think that they're part of this. I mean, the ambassador of Israel to the United States, I think, is actually a really good guy. Obviously, he cares about Israel first. I care about America first.
Oh,
but
wait. Did you hear this? Our ambassador in Israel...
of Israel to the United States, I think, is actually a really good guy. Obviously, he cares about Israel first. I care about America first. But there are some people within their system we know beyond a shadow of a doubt who are manipulating and trying to change American public opinion to keep the war going on indefinitely. Again, not towards any objective, but just indefinitely. And again,
What do you mean not towards any objective? Don't be fucking stupid.
Again, like, say this with all candor, like, we absolutely screwed up the comms of the Epstein files, like we just did. But do I think the reason we screwed up the comms is because we were trying to hide something? No. I think the reason we screwed up the comms of the Epstein files is one, you know, Pam Bondi said, the client list is on my desk, right?
Well, they had binders. They were
100%,
standing in
right.
front.
But those binders were largely documents that had already been released, right? So here's
Right,
let me
right.
try to-
Well, what was
let
the
me try to defend.
purpose of that performative display of the Epstein files? And she was.
What has Donald Trump told you to say to these questions? Because you can kind of tell when somebody's nodding their head like JD Vance just did, he's holding back what he would really like to actually say.
He said, the client list is on my desk, right?
Well, they had binders.
Watch.
They were standing
100%,
in
right.
front.
But those binders were largely documents that had already been released, right? So here's let me try to
Well, what was
let
the
me try to defend.
purpose of that performative display of the Epstein files? And she was saying there's tens of thousands of hours of film.
I don't know what the purpose of it was, but I know that the effect of it was to make people mistrust the entire effort. And what I think was happening, look, I know Pam, I like Pam, I don't think there was anything malicious going on. I think Pam was trying to respond to the political moment. I think she overstated what we had and what we didn't have. And I think that she, got roasted for it publicly by a lot of people, including me. Like,
Whatever.
Do you think that we would have started this war in Iran
but I definitely think
without the influence of Israel? If it was your call, would you have done exactly the same thing? Do you think that Israel...
You have seen this very discreet, extremely well-funded campaign to try to derail the negotiation and try to derail the deal. And, there's this Time article that came out yesterday. A friend sent it to me. It's like worth reading because it lists a bunch of people who have quite literally been paid by a former Trump campaign person who was himself paid by certain elements within the Israeli government. And those people are attacking me viciously for quite literally trying to accomplish the negotiation objective that the president set for the country. So
what is their position? Like, are they attacking you how?
Oh, it's social media posts. It's they're leaking to reporters. They're attacking me obsessively, saying that we should not be negotiating with Iran. We should just keep the military campaign going indefinitely, and that is their explicit position. And coming after me, saying that people have come after me and say that I'm influenced by Qatar, that I'm influenced by foreign governments, that I take my marching orders from Tucker Carlson, and there's just so much bullshit out there. When what I'm actually trying to do is accomplish what the President of the United States told me to accomplish, which is a settlement of this that accomplishes our objectives. Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. We have the free flow of oil and gas. And like, I should be clear, I don't actually mind. I don't mind that let's say certain elements of the Israeli government want to criticize the deal or have disagreements about the deal. I don't even mind an effort to try to influence, foreign governments try to influence the United States all the time. Israel does it, other countries do it. It's just sort of the nature of the beast.
It's the nature of you mean it's the root of the fucking problem with our country? You mean?
I don't mind that let's say certain elements of the Israeli government want to criticize the deal or have disagreements about the deal. I don't even mind an effort to try to influence, foreign governments try to influence the United States all the time. Israel does it, other countries do it. It's just sort of the nature of the beast. What bothers me is actually when Americans meaning American leadership, allows that influence to affect their judgment and to affect what they are advocating for. That's what really bothers me. People are always going to try to influence the United States of America, whether they're allies of ours or whether they're enemies of ours. But again, when I open up the pages of Time magazine and I see that there's a literal foreign influence campaign being funded to tank the very deal that I was pursuing, and oh, by the way, many of the people who were receiving that money were actually attacking me in completely dishonest ways, my response to that is, well, go to hell. I'm going to do what I have to do for the American people. I represent Americans first.
I mean, I like most of what this guy says.
Pam Bondi said the client list is on.
But it's not about what I like. He's been trained his whole life on how to talk like this and be convincing. So been fooled before. I'm not going to be surprised if this guy comes out and he's going to tell everybody exactly what they want to hear, just like every other politician's always done in the existence of time. And he'll 180 it the second he gets injected into the system.
J.D. Vance in that interview is giving you the sleeves off his vest. Okay, he's giving you nothing that's not already known and acknowledged. The files themselves show that he was tied at the highest levels of intelligence in Israel and the United States. And we knew that even before the files came out.
Dropsite's Julian Andrioni. J.D. Vance's interview with Joe Rogan just came out, and in it he said Jeffrey Epstein clearly had ties to both American and Israeli intelligence, CIA and Mossad, at the highest levels. We've been reporting on this at Dropsite for a long time, but this is a revelation to hear the vice president say it. He was also asked about Israel spying on the United States, and he said he doesn't mind it. He said that's kind of just the nature of the beast, and that other countries always spy on other countries. I wanted to hear what members of Congress thought about this.
I mean, he probably knows that he's covering for one of the guys at the center of it. I think he knows that he is, at this point, if he knows this, first of all, if he's saying this right now, he's already participated in the cover-up, because he's been vice president of the United States for several years now. And if he's just revealing this information right now, it means that he's probably known it the whole time.
I guess the Israelis got to be brought in if anybody did anything that breached our national security, the traitors, if that's the case. Anybody who was involved with him, I mean, he was as bad as it gets. But this should be looked at as an American issue, not, the Democrats, of course, have been trying to act like, this is like a Republican thing. I mean, give me a break. They did nothing, and their whole plan was to exploit it politically, not to help anybody.
Well, it was always rumored, so I'm glad that the vice president is confirming it. I think it is sad state of affairs that the vice president thinks it is okay for a country that supposedly is a client state of ours is sending people to spy on us.
Yeah, I think Jeffrey Epstein's dead, and he's been dead for a long time. But I will watch it, and I'll have comments after I do it. I just haven't seen it.
It is absolutely a national security concern. Everything that has.
But if people want to say we mishandled the Epstein release,
it's just very disheartening that you have to consider the fact that it's really possible that the elections get stolen. And the California one was a big one for me.
And why not just have mail-in, or why not just have voter ID?
Yeah. That's
saw,
insane. Not only did they not have voter ID, you can't show your ID. You're not allowed to show your ID.
You can in fact be prosecuted if you try to force somebody to show their
ID.
Which
seems like you want people to cheat.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is from the same people that were saying you have to have an ID that shows you've been vaccinated just 4 years ago to go to
grocery shopping or to go to a restaurant. Yeah, no, it's definitely, that's the part about it that I think makes most people of my political persuasion skeptical of what the Democrats are doing.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want to cheat in the election, then just make everybody actually show an ID. Another thing people don't realize is, I didn't realize until a couple years ago, the voter ID solves a lot of the mail-in ballot problem, because if you have to show...
I'm so torn between, do votes actually, matter? They almost get stuck on the election, the fraud in it and the stolen elections and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But imagine votes aren't what we've been taught. Like, they aren't. Each person casts their vote, and all of those votes get tallied together. Imagine the little bin you go to drop your vote off at the office you drop your ballot in there. Imagine that's just a trash can, because the outcome is already decided. They've mapped out the next however many presidents. They've been growing them in the CIA's basement. I'm back and forth between votes actually matter and they're completely fake and gay.
Show an ID in order to get a mail-in ballot, in order to actually, confirm that there's a.
I love how like fake and gay is just like my go-to. Like that's just a thing now.
Do you think that Israel is affecting American political judgment? Do you think that we would allow? Do you think that you said something that
I don't know, man. I don't know. I really want to like the guy. I'm sure everybody's the same way now. Like, they liked Trump and Trump betrayed them. So people liked Obama. Obama did a lot of fucking shitty things. It's been Biden, same thing. It's hard to judge. You want to like these people and you want to have hope and you want to fully believe in the system that you've been brought up in. But you're constantly being shown that it's theater. It's whoever can act, the most presidential gets the president spot. It's almost like there's like a whole nother vote that happens somewhere else for the presidency and the primaries and everything. There's like the bookies keep record over here, and we don't got to tell the client the truth. I don't know, man. Interesting times. Stay vigilant.